The RV Show USA. Start living the RV dream today.
And welcome to today's video and to my virtual campfire. Alan Warren here, the RV Wingman. As a reminder, we are only a week away from the relaunch of the RV Show USA radio show, which will be syndicated on radio stations nationwide, primarily AM talk radio stations. It'll be a weekly one-hour show that will be a mix of yours truly and a little bit of wingman wisdom and a lot of great guests, all with the goal of helping promote RVing, educating consumers, and encouraging dealers and manufacturers to improve their quality and the overall RV ownership experience. Again, the launch is only about a week away, so if you own an RV, I got a question for you. What do you wish that you would have known before you bought that RV? I'm sure there was something you wish you would have known or realized before you bought your RV, especially your very first one. Let me know in the comments section below. For most people, it doesn't take long after their purchase to realize that they wish they would have done things a little bit differently. Many people end up making a huge mistake. Up now is our friend RIninger, who will give you his thoughts on how to approach making the decision on which RV is right for you. So for somebody that doesn't know anything about RVs, they just know they want one, Zach, what advice, I mean, they all look pretty nice if you just walk around and you don't look under the what do they call it, the lights and the lipstick.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to me if I'm looking for my first RV and I'm not exactly sure what I want? How do you give me some direction?
I mean, I think you hit on something there is you don't know for sure what you want. And I think a lot of people, they want the best quality they can get for whatever use case they have. And by use case, I mean whatever their personal budget is, how they're going to use it, who's going with them, what are they towing with, where are they going, how are they going to use it once they get there? Are they going to be plugged into power? Like, there's so much more that goes into this that I think if you have a good dealer that is going to slow down and ask a lot of these questions and actually guide a customer rather than just trying to sell them something, you can really get into there are a lot of good products out there. Now, I know everybody knows the last couple of years has been hard to navigate because the quality really went down in our industry. But the most important thing that I think a customer can do is really identify their particular use case. How are they going to use it? What are all the different aspects of how they're going to use it? And then they can really start going down the path of weighing what's good, what isn't. You can get into some of the forums out there, but you and I both know that oftentimes some of the loudest voices aren't always the actual experience of what most customers are having, right? Like, you get a couple angry people and they chirp the loudest out there. And so it's very difficult to navigate and to really understand. But don't you see, I mean, I would think that you would see, because you go to a lot of RV shows, that you see a lot of people that want one, they're just having a difficult time of, as you said, how are we going to use it? How much do we want to spend? I mean, those are really critical, or else you could make a major mistake. Some salesperson can sell you something that isn't a good fit at all, and you've just got yourself in a bind. Well, then you have a bad experience, right? Like, you and I have talked about this extensively of, if you're not truly guided in the process rather than just sold something because they want to get rid of that unit or whatever it might be, if you're not truly guided in the right way, odds are you're going to have a bad experience because you bought something that doesn't fit your actual needs, or, you can't tow it appropriately, your truck's working too hard, so now you're stressed, so now you don't even want to go use it. Or it doesn't fit the type of camping that you envision for you and your family with their your kids' friends that are coming now, because the age tipped from, that 7 to 8 to now they're 10 to 11. They want to bring friends. And we didn't really think through that together. It's slowing it down and really working together is incredibly important, and finding a good dealer that wants to work with you to think through the overall ownership, what it's going to look like, how you're going to use it so that they can go have a good time. But navigating what's good quality and what's not is harder than ever, in my opinion. And I think it comes back to what we've talked about a lot, is they need to trust themselves when they're looking around, and really open their eyes, really look around, open the doors, close the doors. Like, you can feel it. Yeah. It's, if you're shopping for a used car, Alan, like, You know how you get into something, you're like, damn, this thing was kind of beat up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's another one that was a garage queen, and she, just kept it inside there. And maybe it was a 90-year-old grandma who put, only so many miles on it. And you can tell that it's been taken care of. It's the same analogy for shopping for apartments, houses, whatever it might be. If you open your eyes and actually trust yourself and look around, you can tell, right? Like, oh, this was a cheap flip. Feel how flimsy these doors are when you open and close them? It's like, feel that faucet. It's almost like people just give up their own ability to think when they get into some of these situations. They want to blame everybody else. It's like, well, if you'd have just opened your eyes when you were there and really trusted yourself when you're looking at it.
Let me ask you this. I know what the answer is, a rhetorical question, but there is no perfect RV either, because I know a lot of people on one end of the spectrum, they don't know anything, and they're gullible. I mean, it's just because they just don't know anything. On the other end of the spectrum, they're so picky, so selective, they'll never make a decision because they're looking for the perfect RV at the perfect price, and that doesn't exist either. At least I don't think it does.
No, at the end of the day, they're built by people. They're towed down the road, sometimes at very high speeds, on very poorly maintained roads. There is very much so both spectrums of customer, right? There's that customer that is so picky and thinks everything's terrible and everything's bad. I'm going to wait till the prices do this or this is all, everything's bad. 4 years goes by and they look up and their 4-year-old's now 8. And they missed all 4 summers of that, and they're still talking about it, but they never actually make a choice. And it's nothing is ever going to be perfect. And I think the 80-20 rule applies very heavily to our industry, because it's like with floor plans, you're going to get 80% of exactly what fits you perfectly, but there's always that little 20% like, man, I just wish it had this, or man, I wish it had that. If you can nail the 80%, you're winning, in my opinion.
What are some of the things that are in that 20 that I'm not even thinking about yet? If I buy an RV, I'm going like, this is the perfect RV. It probably doesn't take me very long to figure out, what are some of those 20% things that I might want to think about when I'm in the buying process?
Well, I'll give you an example for ourselves right now. Like we're getting ready. We're going to order another one. And what we're looking at is, I'm looking at, okay, what are my tow capacities? What's my payload capacity? So what can I realistically safely travel with my family? And in the sweet spot of where I'm looking, there's this great bunkhouse. It's a new bunkhouse we're coming out with, and it's got a great bunk room in the back. But you know what I really wish? It checks all the boxes. Separate living area, because I wake up early, so now I don't wake everybody else up when I go to the kitchen in the middle. Like, it's great. You know what I wish? The 20% it doesn't have? It doesn't have a king bed. But we can't do it in a king bed to keep it under 30 feet, which that's the beauty of it, is it's a lot of trailer under 30 feet and it fits my tow capacity. But damn, I wish I had a king bed, because I like a king bed. I'm a tall person. Like, that's one of the 20% where, okay.
Well, that's when you just ask your wife to sleep on the sofa.
Yeah, that'll go great. Yeah, sure. Well, why don't you try it first and let me know how that goes?
No, but that's a perfect example, because I like space as well. But it's that give and take thing. If you're going to get something under 30 feet, it's going to be hard to get a king bed and get all those other things that you want.
Exactly. And maybe you want this great big kitchen or whatever it might be, but if you have a 3 and a 4-year-old, you're going to have bunks. And those bunks are going to chew up a significant portion of that trailer. So you might give up that 20%. Like, oh, this would be perfect if it had a bigger kitchen and a king bed. It's like, well, if it did, it would be 37 feet instead of 29 feet. And so that's where I say, like, it's the 80-20 rule. So, but like, okay, I've got a private bedroom for my wife and I. We've got a kitchen and living space that's great that I can go out to in the morning, and a separate bunk area for the kids, and I can tow it. Checks all the boxes. Wish it had a king bed. It's the 80-20 rule truly in practice, that it happens over and over and over again, where there's just these little things that everybody's got their own little thing that they wish it maybe had this. Very rarely is there the perfect trailer for someone.
You've said oftentimes that, to buy your second trailer, your second RV first. How do I do that?
It's a tough question. there's a lot of it was especially impactful, I think, during the COVID rush, right, where everybody was picking up anything they could get because they just wanted to go camping, and so it didn't matter what it was, and they were rushing right into it's too small for them or whatever it might. Like, there's so many things that people jumped into, and it goes back to, I think, just slowing down and really trying to guide people through it. Of think about how you're using it, and then think about longevity. And I think people get caught up at times too in price and cost, and they're two different things. And I see a lot of customers who think they're saving $2,000 by buying brand A, but what they end up doing is that's the price they paid on the paper. But what they don't think about is the cost of ownership, the cost of issues, the cost of it being in service, the cost of the depreciation because it's a poor brand. And in 2-3 years, that difference of the cost of ownership was so chewed up that they would have been better off spending $4,000 more rather than the $2,000 difference to get a better built unit that lasts longer, doesn't have all the problems, that's not having issues out of warranty, it's not sitting in service when you've got a trip planned with your family, that's not breaking apart on you when you get to the campground, dinettes aren't falling in, bed bases aren't falling apart. There's horror story after horror story out there, and it's because a lot of times manufacturers use some cheap materials that are just a subpar way to build, but they think a customer's not going to notice.
And they won't until they start using it.
Exactly. And then they go use it and they realize all these things that they wish they had thought of, or they don't think their kids are ever going to get bigger. So they don't think, they'll be fine sleeping on the couch, because they're 3 and 4. Well, but in 3 years, they're going to be too big to sleep on the couch together. And so you need a bunkhouse. So does it make more sense to buy your second camper first and have more longevity out of that? Maybe you spend a little bit more money, but you get to own it for longer and you get to use it, and it's not going to be a problem. You're going to get out there and use it and see all these things you don't like about it or the way it's built, and you learn all the hard way. And then you come back in and you buy the one you should have bought the first time for your second one. But if you find the right dealer and the person who's willing to work you through and think long-term with this and how you want to use it, you can kind of bypass that and get to your second one first and just have a better experience all the way around.
A lot of great things there, not only for the first-time RV buyer, but for any RV buyer. So what do you wish you would have done differently? What do you wish you would have known before you bought your RV? And what do you think of what Zach said about the 80-20 rule? Maybe you do have the perfect RV. Maybe. But will it be perfect for your needs in 5 years? I hope so, but I think the important thing to remember is that first, there are no perfect RVs. There aren't. Secondly, I think it's a good idea to find a good balance with your RV dealer. Some people need a lot of help in deciding which RV is best for them. Others are absolutely convinced that they know exactly what they want. So being honest with your dealer up front in terms of how much guidance you may or may not need is a really, really good idea. It's something that the dealer, a good dealer, will welcome. And you'll minimize the chances of being taken advantage of. Again, what do you wish you would have done differently? Or what do you wish you would have known before you bought your RV? Thanks to Zach RIninger, who is always a great resource. A link to Zach's YouTube channel is in the description down below. Thanks for watching. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.